Here I am, Record Store Day 2026. I've got up at about 5:30 or 6 o'clock, 6 a.m., and I'm off to one of the first 3 record stores in the Blue Mountains where I live. Wish me luck. Hi everyone, it's Katie from Chords Records. Record Store Day is done for me. Australia and New Zealand are the luckiest ones to go first in the world. So I just wanted to quickly take you through my record haul, if you like. And if you're standing in line in the Northern Hemisphere, you can check out some albums ahead of time. So there were 3 record stores in the Blue Mountains. The first one is Hat Hill Records. I arrived there and the lineup was, there were 6 people in front of me and I got there at like 6:20, 6 a.m. And they were the same people that were in front of me last year as well. And by the time the shop opened, there were probably 20, 30 and 40 people sort of, it all happened very quickly. The next 2 shops, which I'll talk about, very little sort of foot traffic, but they didn't have many. So I was able to go to all 3 and, get what I want for the most part. There were 2 or 3 that I knew they wouldn't have, they didn't have, I didn't get, and it'll be impossible for me to get sort of cheaply in the secondary market as well. So I just have to live with that. But what I did get, I'm really excited about. The first one is the Adrian Lenker. Now, this is a 3 LP set based on the cassette and digital release only that she released about a year ago, live at Revolution Hall. It came out as a limited edition, I think, of only about 500 cassettes, which I got on day 1. And for the first time, she's released it as a 3 LP set. Very excited for that. They come in, it's a single sleeve, it's not a gatefold. And it's exactly the cover of the cassette. And each comes in these 3 sleeves with images from the experience. So the Revolution Hall live gig and a couple of other behind the scenes sleeves. And the actual vinyl is just a beautiful black vinyl. So that is really exciting. Love her. Big Thief, obviously. And very happy to have that on vinyl. So that's Adrian Lenker live at Revolution Hall. So that one was limited to 3,000. Okay, the next one, which they had quite a few, and I know they're pressing quite a few of these. I think about maybe 15,000 or something, but I absolutely love Jeff Buckley. Who doesn't? And I have the original CD. I got it when it came out, and it was a beautiful produced kind of CD, kind of a 3-fold thing when it came out, and they've released it for Record Store Day on vinyl. First time on vinyl, and it was in France at the famous Olympia. And it was supporting his Grace album, essentially. And this is, again, not a gatefold. 2 LPs with some amazing liner notes, which I can't wait to read, with images from the experience. And the actual vinyl, black again. What an amazing artist. But that's quite easy to get. 15,000, not super limited. All right, the next 2 are a set, and that is The Cure, and I am so happy to have got these. And I'll just show you the this one. It's the 2001 greatest hits and accompanying acoustics hits. The accompanying acoustics hits have never been released on vinyl, and they've both been remastered by Robert Smith. And the actual album is quite lovely. It's got these kind of foil stars on it. I don't know if you can see that. Just a really lovely touch. They both have a matching hype sticker, which you can see there. And are great, and they're both gatefolds. So one is the greatest hits and one is the acoustic hits. And in the UK, this is part of a charity program for War Child. So there were 15 records in the UK, and I think £1 of every record goes to War Child. So very happy to get them. Absolutely love The Cure. They were limited to 7,200 around about for each one. The next one is my absolute favourite, and this is the reason I went to Record Store Day. I'm currently wearing the Be Human t-shirt from the concert for Minneapolis by Brandi Carlile, and this is Live at Easy Street, Brandi Carlile, in the great tradition from Matt at Easy Street Records, where he opens up his cafe and has live music, has been doing it since the grunge days, the Nirvana, the Pearl Jams. And Brandi Carlile, this is volume 2, Brandi Carlile Live at Easy Street Records volume 2. If you saw my last video, you know that the first volume back in 2008 was supporting her, The Story, essentially, her famous album. And almost 5 years later, or 20 years later, she returns to support their latest album, Returning to Myself, Brandi Carlile Live at Easy Street. I was lucky to get this actually, because the first record store I went to, Hat Hill Records, only had one. Of course, every Record Store Day, Joni Mitchell's archive, Joni Mitchell releases, one of her Joni Mitchell archive releases. This year is no exception. Very happy to get this, another RSD exclusive. And this is For the Roses. If you saw my previous videos, you'll know that this cover is the original intended cover, and it was subsequently released with a kind of just a portrait of her on the rocks of an ocean or a lake, and it's just a photograph. And this was her intended cover, which was rejected. So for the first time, it's being released with its intended cover, For the Roses. Fantastic album from Joni Mitchell Archives, on a rose-coloured or plum-coloured vinyl. Rose colour, it's obvious. There's the hype sticker. Right, and then, so that was my haul from Hat Hill, and Hat Hill put on a great Record Store Day, and they had everything you could want. The final thing, just to get in my single collection. If you know me and you watch my channel, you know how much I love singles. So I just got the Taylor Swift. But my prediction is there's 100,000 or 200,000 of these. Do not line up for it. You will get it. Don't worry about that. All right. That was it for Hat Hill Records. Then I went to Full on the Hill, which is a new little record store in Lura. Very, very tiny, quite specialist. Imported used Japanese vinyl, a lot of Australian used pressings, but they have taken part in Record Store Day for the first time this year, and they had one single crate, and they were giving away tote bags and posters, to the first few people that attended, which was a really lovely gesture. And I bought this. This is a kind of a no judgment album. So this is a special Kiss album for their summer tour, featuring cuts of all formats. And what this is, and this is not a Record Store Day exclusive, it's a Record Store Day first, I suspect. And it's been, I think there were probably around about I don't know, maybe 10,000 of them, so not hard to get and probably not that popular. But it's an EP, got the beautiful song Beth on it, which is just wonderful. This was a promo that was released during their heyday, I think around about 1975 maybe, which has never been released on vinyl. So it's just a bit of a fun artifact. And, you know, I like Kiss, you know. You can judge me or not, but I think they're fun. And so then my final shop that I went to was Velvet Fog Records. Another shout out to Paul. He's my absolute local in the town I live in, and has been around for, you know, sort of 20 plus years in the suburb, selling amazing used secondhand vinyl, and always has a really great selection, and one of those great shops that you need to attend, sort of visit out of Sydney if you're a record collector. He didn't have a lot. He had one crate and half of his stuff hadn't arrived, and he always gets really interesting eclectic stuff. He doesn't get the kind of the more sort of the populars, the Joni Mitchells, etc., or the young albums, but he had 3 albums which I was super happy to pick up. And a nice touch with Paul is he always puts it in a sleeve for you, so you get some record sleeves. The first one is this soundtrack to the 2024 documentary Swamp Dogg Gets His Pool Painted. So you may not know what this is. So Swamp Dogg, from what I understand, is still alive. I think he's in his 80s, like an absolute cult figure of kind of soul R&B music in America. And this documentary came out, and it was, you know, so fairly critically acclaimed. I think it played at South by Southwest. And for the first time, they're releasing the soundtrack on vinyl. Only 1,000 copies. And I think it's well worth picking up. It has Bon Iver on it. It has 2 John Prine tracks on it. Really interesting soundtrack. So this one is a bit of a, you know, might go under the radar a little bit. So only 1,000 copies. So I would, if you're into soundtracks, I would get this. This is a documentary soundtrack from 2024. So that is Swamp Dogg Gets His Pool Painted. The next one are 2 compilations from record labels. So the first one is Westbound Sounds. Of course, Westbound, the famous sort of Detroit label of Funkadelic, you know, Maggot Brain was probably their biggest album release. You know, correct me if I'm wrong, actually. And I don't have a lot of the original albums of Westbound, but I thought this was a really interesting compilation to get, and it's curated by Record Store Day. It's an RSD exclusive featuring rare and essential tracks from the Westbound Records catalogue. You can see there what it says. Again, probably very limited, maybe 1,000 of them. If you're into compilations, a lot of people aren't, but I think that's quite an interesting one to pick up. And then finally, the Kraft Records compilation of Stax, Killer Bees, obviously the classic label of soul and R&B and blues. From when was it? Probably from the 60s, 50s, 60s, and 70s. These are obviously B-sides, and again it says a new collection of standout and hard to find B-sides from the Stax vault, featuring Eddie Floyd, Booker T and the MGs, the Bar-Kays, Johnny Taylor and more. And again, just I think a really exciting compilation to have of Stax music. This one is on a fun kind of marbly red sort of vinyl. So that's it. That's my Record Store Day for 2026 done. Good luck to everyone. I hope you get what you want. The ones I missed out on, Charlie Brown, I desperately wanted that. Didn't see it in any of the record stores. Actually, it wasn't posted anywhere in Australia, so I don't know if it even got to Australia. I wanted the Elton John Dance, hoping to pick that up at some point in the secondary market at some point. I think that's just a fun one that I wanted. The Emmylou Harris, no one stocked that. The Emmylou Harris with Mark Knopfler, again, probably something I'll quite easily pick up. And I wanted the 10-inch Pavement, but yeah, that is limited and that will be very sought after. All right. Happy Record Store Day, everyone. Please like this video, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.